Let us once more examine the scriptures and what it says, the scriptures and what they say on tithing. And let us explore now verses of the New Testament. Let's start with Matthew and see what Matthew says. Matthew 23, verse 23. Matthew 23, verse 23 reads as follows. I'll read the new the NIV version. It says, Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give a tithe of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, faithfulness, and you should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. Let me read it in the King James Version. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Now, this verse is in the New Testament. So some people take this verse as being part of the new covenant. Now we need to see the context first of this verse. Now this is not a teaching. You can read. This is a rebuke and a remark. Jesus Christ speaks to the Pharisees and said, yes, you pay the tithe of the mint, the anise and cumin, and have not, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law. And he goes on saying, you should have done the former and not neglecting the latter, which is good. Now, before speaking about what the fact that it's just a remark and a rebuke, we can read also here the same thing. You pay the tithe of mint, anise, and cumin. These are not, it says no money. There's no money here. Mint, these are herbs that we use. These are herbs and spices. Okay? So, no money. But as I said here, it's not a teaching. Jesus is not teaching about time. What he's saying is that time, but also apply the matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. Do both. Now you say, okay, why would Jesus say them to do both if we are not supposed to time? Jesus Christ is talking to his contemporary people of his time, and Jesus Christ did not live under the new covenant. He lived under the old covenant. In the time of Jesus, they were applying the Mosaic law. Remember, when Jesus walked on earth, there was no church. So he was living under the Mosaic law. Remember, Jesus Christ was circumcised on the 8th day. Why? Mosaic law. Remember the woman who was brought to him, caught in adultery. They said the law said we should cast a stone. What did Jesus say? He didn't say don't cast a stone, because saying don't cast would mean going against the law. He gave them a different answer. He has no sin, let him cast the first stone, which made him the only person based on that, who could cast the stone, because he had no sin. So this passage is not teaching about tithing. It's just saying that in those days they were tithing, but the Pharisees were supposed also to apply the law. But they were doing one thing and neglecting the other, because the one who said mercy, justice, and faith also was also the one who said time. That was for the time. Let's move on to another passage. Old New Testament, Luke, which is a parallel of Matthew 23 and Matthew 23, Luke 11. So Luke 11 says in the NIV, "Woe to you Pharisees, because you give God a tenth of your mint, root, and all other kinds of gardens herbs, but you neglect justice and the love of God. You should have practiced the latter without leaving the former undone." Okay, here also we see that Jesus speaks about the Pharisees giving a type of mint, roof, and all other kinds of gardens herbs. There's no money here also. But as I said, this is not a teaching. It's a rebuke, because that people, "Woe to you Pharisees," is not teaching. And he's just telling them that you pay the time, which they already knew. But that's not the only thing, and that's not the main thing. You must do justice and apply the love of God. Now let's go to King James, what King James says. King James Version says, there we go. Yeah. "But woe unto you Pharisees, for ye tithe mint, rue, and all manners of herbs, and pass over judgment and the love of God. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone." It's part of the same thing. That's what was written in Matthew 23. So here again, it's a rebuke, it's not a teaching. Because here, if it's a teaching, what is it telling us? It does tell us how we should tithe. It does tell us what we should tithe exact in all. He just mentioned three elements. He just mentioned mint, roof, and all manners of herbs. It does not talk about wine. It doesn't talk about oil. It doesn't talk about the firstling of herbs and of herds and flocks, which were mentioned in Deuteronomy. So this is not a teaching. It does not talk. It doesn't tell us to whom we should give the time or we should collect the time. It doesn't tell us. It doesn't say anything about the time of the third year or the year of tithing. Nothing of it says. So this is not a teaching, it's just a rebuke. Now, and remember, same thing. Now let's go to Luke. Luke 18 and see what the Bible says. Luke 18. Luke 18. Luke 18 says, "You fast twice a week and give a tenth of all." I say, I fast twice a week and give a tenth of all I get. Okay. So, here again, giving a tenth of all, Jesus said it's fine. Okay. This is not a teaching, this is a statement. Right? This is a statement, it's not a teaching. It's a simple statement of what someone does. In New King James, you say, "I fast twice in the week, and I give tithes of all that I possess." Yes. So I mean, if you want to draw a teaching out of this, the only thing you can say is that I give the tithe of all. So it's about giving the tithe of all that you possess, but how do you give it? Who collects it? Nothing is said. Now, these passages are unfortunately the passages that people use to say that tithing is in the New Testament. Yes, it is in the writing of the New Testament, because Luke is in the writing of the New Testament. But when the story happened, it did not happen under the New Testament applied. It doesn't happen under the New Covenant. This happened when Jesus Christ and Israel were living under the Old Covenant. That's why Jesus was not a priest. He was not called a priest in those days. He was called rabbi, master, because he understood, he knew the law. People could see that he was. But he did not have no official, he had no official role, no official function in the temple because he was from Judah, not from Levi. And the work of the temple was given unto Levi. If this applied, Jesus could have gotten tithes. He was never given tithes. But he was teaching. Why? Because he did not, according to the law, he was not supposed to get the tithe. The tithe were for the priests. The tithe were for the Levite to collect. And out of the whatever they collected, they would give the tithe to the priests. Simple. Okay. Now we can clearly see that there's no specific, we cannot draw teaching here. It's tiny, we have a bit of information, okay? Tithe, the tithe of the main, the tithe of root, the tithe of all kind of verbs, yes, that we can get. But then besides that, when do we tithe? How do we tithe? No idea. Now, there is another verse. Let's read Hebrews 7, 5, 9. Because it's also in the New Testament. Now, what does it say? Hebrews says, the law required the descendants of Levi who become priests to collect the tenth from the people, that is, from their fellow Israelites, even though they are also they also are descended from Abraham. This man, however, did not trace descendant from Levi, talking about Jesus. Yet he talking about Melchizedek. Yet he collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed him, who had the promises. Okay, without doubt, the lesser is blessed by the greater. In the one case, the tenth is collected by people who die, but in this other case, by him who is declared to be living. One might even say that Levi, who collects the tithe, paid the tithe through Abraham. So this is another passage of the Old Testament that speaks about, the New Testament that speaks about tithing. But here again, there is no teaching. All it says, there's no extended teaching, but here it tells us that it is the descendant, the law requires the descendant of Levites to collect a tenth from the people. Yes, the descendants of Levi, that's what the law says. So if you want to apply the law to collect the people, you must be a descendant of the Levi. Now, a descendant of Levi, you have to be a descendant of Levi. Yep, that's what the law says. Now, here it says, this was the NIV, but let's read the King James. And verily they that are the sons of Levi, who receive the office of priesthood, have a command to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of the brethren. Now we know that among the Levites, those who collected the law were the priests in themselves. They collected not the tithe directly, but they were given the tithe of the tithe by the Levites who had collected it. Now, so verse 9 says, as I may so say, so Levites also who received tithes paid tithes in Abraham. So that's what this passage says. This is not a teaching that says that the church is supposed to pay a tithe. No, this is actually, this entire part is Old Testament. It's just it. It's just what the Old Testament says. So we can see that though these passages are in the New Testament, they speak about something and how things were done in the Old Testament. Now, let us see what the Bible says about it.